I'm here for the truth, and I have to sit around here and always tell people, you know what I'm
Tell it,
saying?
bro.
Tell the people what's real and what's going on at that. So if I take a little slack on that, I'm cool for taking slack on that. I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight if I knew that I had this type of information and I didn't say anything, bro. Like, I'm over here preaching this stuff, and I'm over here trying to tell you whether you buy UAs or you buy the real thing. You know what I'm saying? I want you guys to know what you're actually. I'm talking about the Travis Scott Fragment 2.0s.
I
They're
don't
all
see
boot.
any comments.
You know what I'm saying? They're all fake, man. They're all fake. So if you guys see guys around here talking about they got them right now, they're for sale. Don't even do it, bro. Don't even pull the trigger.
So y'all heard him? He's saying these early Travs, the pairs which have already hit the streets in advance ahead of the release date, are fake. So we got to give a huge salute to Boss Dub Kick 79, co-owner of the Unreleased Sneaker Podcast. He's calling all these early Travises fugazi, which when you talk about fake sneakers, UAs, whatever you want to call it, it seems to be a real interesting topic of many people. It seems like nowadays they're getting fed up with all the shenanigans, all the resale business, Nike upping the prices, and they're turning to the fakes, the alternates or whatever. So when you talk about these Travises, this is an interesting one, right? Originally supposed to be scheduled, reported to drop September 20th. It was absolutely crickets until Travis's team officially announced that these shoes would be dropping coming up in November. The follow-up to the original Fragment, which we saw drop a few years back, highly coveted. You guys already know this one's going to be limited. And when you talk about Travis Scott Jordan 1 lows, some of the most hype releases which Nike releases throughout the years. Also, some of the most faked as well. Now, these are the early pairs which we saw popping out, which it feels like these Trav Fragment ones have been out for like almost about a year now or something like that. These early pairs which have been popping up, which when you compare this version to the more recent take, which we saw here, courtesy of the Secret Sauce Group, there's an interesting design element that's missing from those early pairs. Like, first off, something about the shape is totally off. You guys see how these fakes, they got this fat toe box, whereas the authentic, real Travis is a little more sleek, a little more narrow in the toe box. But as far as the big element which was missing from a lot of these early fakes, right, was that extra little lace design, right? I don't even know what you call it, like some extra laces tied up there. That's something that's been missing from all the early pairs, right? So I guess you could pretty much say if you see any pairs without that little element, you could just go ahead and call them out for fake. Plus the real pairs, as you guys see, have this kind of like pink trim, you know, on the edges of all the different cuts and everything. So you guys see what's happening right here. Secret Sauce Group, they kind of, you know, threw off all these fake pairs. And ever since that, all the pairs which have been touching down have contained that element. But remember, this sneaker is supposed to be exclusively releasing through Travis's website as well as through Fragment, right? That's what the word is, right? No sneakers have dropped, just dropping through Travis's site as well as through Fragment. So how are these early pairs all hitting the streets way ahead of the drop, right? Like, there's always been all these allegations of Travis's team backdooring things. I feel like Nike and Jordan Brand would have a close watch on this drop right here. So how are we seeing these resellers with like all these pairs, like hundreds of pairs ahead of the drop date? Now, I'm not saying that like every single early pair is fake, right? I feel like a couple of real ones could, you know, get through the cracks here and there, you know what I'm saying? Plus, Jordan Brand has seeded out pairs to various Jordan Brand athletes. I think Caitlin Clark was one of those. Some people from the NFL, such and such. So how are we seeing like hundreds of pairs pop out like this? So this comes from one of these early accounts, Chicken Wop, right? Where, look, they literally got full size runs of these joints, which aren't supposed to drop until November. So it's like, how is this happening so early? I'm not gonna lie, with the whole fake versus real conversation, I mean, I would believe, like, if you were to tell me that these were all fakes, like, I would believe you. Plus, look, the fragments, like, come on now. Or do you guys feel like these are coming straight from the factory? Nowadays, when you talk about the line between real and fake, it's almost blurred. Like, not even gonna lie, I be seeing these fakes pop up, and sometimes they look just as good as the real deal. But of course, there are key details, you know, the craftsmanship, small little things that you can notice, which can separate the real versus fake. But when you look at a page like this, I mean, who knows what's really happening? Look, here go these Travises popping out again. This was about a week ago. So As far as a sneaker like this, so valuable, resale prices have been going crazy. Thought to drop in September, now dropping coming up here in November. When you talk about these resale prices, like they're out of this world. I didn't think in 2025 people were paying thousands of dollars for a sneaker, which retails for $155, but bruh, you learn something new every day. So just for example, right? Look, last sale, $2,802. And we're not just talking about like one little sale here and there. When you take a look at the market data, this is just StockX alone, which they already got a bad reputation for letting fakes get through. Like, look, just today alone, we're talking about the 30th. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sales alone. And there was not one sale for less than $2,000, right? So we're talking money sizes right here. Common sizes, matter of fact, sizes 8.5 through 10.5. Selling for over $2,000. And if you count just in the last week, there's probably been like over 20, 30 pairs sold already, right? For a limited exclusive drop like that. Like, how are so many early pairs getting through? And do you guys feel like StockX, is doing a good enough job of authenticating these pairs, making sure they're real? Because again, real pairs are gonna get out there, right? Jordan Brand, they've already been gifting. They've already been seeding out pairs to Jordan Brand athletes. Travis already probably letting people have pairs and stuff like that. But as far as like people, resellers, already having full size runs of these, like something gotta be suspicious. And when we take it back to this guy, Boss Dub Kick 79, what he was talking about, apparently he's got a real pair, and based off this little clip, I guess one of his boys was, one of his pairs came up as fake. So this dude put a lot of fakes, but definitely not all. I've had pairs released, then sold them after release, authenticated and all. Never had a problem. So he's referring to like early sneakers. But then he replies talking about, I stand on it. If they think I'm lying, run their pair through the legit app or check and see what the results are. All right. This dude put, I'm not surprised. So when we talk about this drop, again, set to now drop coming up in November. Fragment exclusive, Travis Scott website exclusive. Where are all these early pairs coming from? Like, it feels like every resale shop across the country already got these pairs. Y'all see them in hand. When you pop out to a sneaker con, one of these resale events, resellers got tables full of hundreds of pairs of these. So what's really the truth when you talk about early sneakers? Like, are these joints authentic? Are these coming from the same factories, or are these being made down the street, at the little bootleg factories? I think it's interesting because at the end of the day, all these joints are made over in China. And it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference between real and fake. Whether you call them UAs, fakes, whatever you want to call them, if they're not coming officially from Nike or Jordan Brand, I'm not rocking with it, right? I just come from that old school mentality where I just rather rock with the real deal pairs and everything. But apparently a lot of you guys are getting on board with these UAs. When you take a look at something like this, I can't tell the difference, right? Like, to me, these joints look authentic. When you talk about something like this, these are being called out, rumored to be fake. I'm not saying that exactly, but that's what conversations are, and I can't really tell you guys how they're fake or real or whatever. So as far as these StockX sales, can y'all imagine people out here finessing these joints through StockX, making over $2,000 a pop, selling these to people? Like, people are literally spending their hard-earned money on a pair of Travis's, which they don't even know if they're real or fake. Plus, when these drops, these are some of the most popular fake sneakers anyway. So when you talk about a shoe like this, if you don't grab these joints like directly from a retailer, whether it's Fragment or Travis Scott's site, I wouldn't buy it. And there ain't no way I'm gonna be out here paying like over $2,000 for a pair of shoes, which could be potentially fake. So let me know what y'all think about this. The real versus fake conversation continues on. And when you talk about this Travis release, bro, like, I wouldn't even play around with these. Probably one of the most fake sneakers currently available on the market. So let me know what y'all think down below. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Love.